Welcome back to the AFC Summit show, folks. As you can see, we have a new Bills rep. We are super excited about that. We might, cross your fingers, we might have a Pats rep. Not saying who it is, I'm not spoiling it, but he's a familiar face. Hit the music. Welcome back to the AFC East Summit show. As I mentioned, we have a brand new Bills rep. Tommy, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, what's going on, fellas, man? I'm Tommy from Mafia Sports Report. Just filling in tonight, man, for you guys. Mike's a good friend of mine over at Nickel City, so I appreciate you, Mike, for giving me the opportunity to come on tonight with you guys, man. But yeah, man, been a lifelong Bills fan since 1989, and started my channel in 2020. It's grown pretty good. Love the community, love Bills Mafia, love reaching out to other content creators and other football fans from different teams. I actually got my own AFC East show that we do on Saturdays called The Shakedown. I've been doing that since 2021. So it's been a fun ride, man. Just mixing it up with different fans, seeing their opinion on everything. So yeah, that's me, man.
Good. We're glad to have you, bro. We always need new Bills reps, especially these days. Keith, how's it going, my man?
I'm good, man. Football is right around the corner. Gotta love it.
Hold him up.
We have Ravens Chiefs on Thursday, Eagles Packers from Brazil on Friday. None of those players are too happy to be going down there for that game, by the way. And then we have football Sunday. I have my NFL season ticket all up and raring to go, and plan on ordering some wings and watching football all day. My wife already knows she's not a happy camper.
Hey, man, she had a lot of time off to enjoy it, you know?
My wife's been getting all PTSD with football coming up. She keeps like, when's football starting? When's football starting? Preseason? I don't know. But, I'm super excited about it, too. Like you said, we got some football coming up this Thursday. I cannot wait to get into it. With that started, do we have any storylines rolling around the AFC East with either of your teams? How are the Bills looking right now, injury-wise?
Never good. we have like the worst luck, bro, over the last 3 years. It's weird because we never got hurt. Like, we were actually relatively healthy for the first 3 years since Brandon Beane started, and we got this new training facility, and we had the best of the best work, and the injury rate was lower because of that and all that good stuff. And we were bragging about it, and then boom, it hits. And it's ironic, and I'll say it real quick. Long story short. In 2022, how every team has a PR team. They or not PR team. They put out like funky videos, and every team does it, like little quirky videos.
Completely agree.
Yeah, exactly. So the Bills have always been funny and goofy with that stuff. They'll put out goofy videos. So during training camp, I believe it was 2022, they put out a video of like McDermott running out in the training field, and like this music, and this ambulance comes out. And it's like they're just poking, like nobody got hurt. It's like a funny joke, and then boom, a player got hurt like a week later, and then we had injuries all season long. So it was almost like, man, we cursed ourselves with that video, and nobody remembers it but me. But I recorded it. I'm like, bro, talk about bad luck. You put that video on. I'm sure they'd never want nobody to know about it, but they sure did it, man. But yeah, injuries are a pain. Matt Milano. He may return in December. That's a huge blow to the Buffalo Bills. Other than that, other than other than Matt Milano, we have little small injuries here and there, but the Matt Milano one is the one that stands out the most. And then today, the depth chart came out, and DeMar Hamlin is starting at safety, which is surprising to me. So he'll be next to Taylor Rapp. I did not see that coming. But it
How
is
do you
what it
feel
is.
about
Let's see
that,
what
Tommy?
safety position is tough, man. I like Rapp, but my issue with Rapp is he plays super fast, aggressive, but it leads to injuries. He got injured a couple times. He also does friendly fire because he's so over aggressive, which is, I like it, but in a way it's like he needs to relax a little bit with that because he's getting our players hurt. He's getting himself hurt. He's played safety before, obviously with the Rams, and he filled in nice last year when he had his opportunity. I'm excited to see what he can do with us. But next to him, of course, we'll see. We got Edwards from the Chiefs, who's like a veteran safety, who's I thought was going to start. Apparently not. Cole Bishop was the rookie safety we drafted. I was kind of excited about that. He got hurt in camp, but now he's back. But they're giving the keys to Damar Hamlin, who they said had a good camp. So I just got to see it on the field. I'm the way I see it. Like, man, I love hearing good stuff out of camp, and you hear about certain players like, man, this guy's shining in camp, but it's like sometimes they don't transition into the regular season. So that's my concern when it comes to Damar Hamlin. I saw he did fill in a few times before the whole, thing that happened to him in Cincinnati. He looked okay. There was times he didn't look so hot. He got burnt back there, was out of position. And there was other times where he shined. So we'll see. I mean, I liked him coming out of Pitt, but I see him more as a rotational guy. But listen, if he earned it in the offseason, he earned it in the preseason, then go ahead and let's see what he can do. Everyone's rooting for him, but it is my biggest question mark going into the season is the defensive side of the ball, not the offense. Believe it or not, it's not the offense. It's the defense. We had a lot of turnaround, a lot of injuries, a lot of new guys stepping up. So,
yeah, I was going to ask, the safety room is the biggest thing I was going to ask about. Specifically, you guys signed Lewis Seen, the ex-Minnesota Viking. I wanted to know if you guys heard anything about him since he was added to your practice squad.
I'm sorry. Lewis Sign? I like Sign. I think it's a good pickup. I think maybe the reason why he's not starting right away or anything, remember, he just got here. Mm-hmm. And he has to learn the playbook. He has to get familiar with the defense coordinator, which is basically Sean McDermott, but it's Babbage this year calling it. We'll see. That also is something to look out for because even though Babbage is calling it, I wouldn't be shocked if Sean McDermott steps in big moments or critical situations, downs, because he did that with Leslie Frazier, who was a veteran defensive coordinator. So, yeah, I like the idea that Babbage is taking control this year. It gives McDermott more. Now he can concentrate being a head coach. Like last year, kind of felt like it messed him up. I felt like he had too much on his plate, and then there was a lot going on, and the hit piece that came out on him, which, by the way, wasn't all lies. There was some truth to it. And I just felt like it was just too much. And I was concerned going into the season because, yeah, he's a defensive coordinator, and he's a good one, Sean McDermott. But I feel like he's a good regular season coach. He's like the Flip Saunders. If anyone knows Flip Saunders, he's the Flip Saunders of the regular season. Get you to the playoffs, and he can only get you so far, and then he hits a wall, and that's it. So I kind of feel like Sean McDermott still is – there's something there missing that he needs to find out why he's hitting this wall as a head coach because he makes a lot of mistakes in the playoffs, crucial moments. And I felt like last year he had all that on his plate, did not help. And then he was ignoring what was going on with the offense, which was Ken Dorsey, and it took forever to finally let him go. Mm-hmm. And look what happened. When he finally let him go, you saw the change in the offense. You saw the Buffalo Bills start to play better, and we made it to the playoffs, won the East. But all that was a distraction. He's worried about the defense. He's concentrating more on defense. That's what he does. So I'm just hoping he lays off Babbage. Unless Babbage is totally ruining it, I get it. But you gave him the keys. Let him have the car. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll see.
Cool. Keith, buddy, don't tell me who's hurt. The Dolphins. Tell me who's healthy.
No, you know what? They're actually relatively healthy other than the guys that are starting off the season on the PUP. We're without Isaiah Wynn and Odell Beckham. We're without Bradley Chubb for the first 4 games. We kind of expected that when he tore his ACL in December. But other than that, Jalen Waddle's back in practice. Tyreek Hill's back in practice. Tua appears to be healthy. The vibes are good in Miami right now. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see, and kind of weird right now, especially, how things ended last year with all the injuries and all the turmoil it seemed to be. But you know what? Tua got paid. Tyreek got his money. Jalen Waddle got paid. Everybody's doing good. And look, I go into most Dolphins seasons, even during those dark years, even during those Cleo Lemon years, I'll go in and I try to be optimistic about the Dolphins' chances going into the season. I'm trying to be that this year, and right now I'm feeling good. I'm just excited to have football back. I'm excited to see the Dolphins play the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday.
How you feeling about your boy Tanner Connor? He made the roster.
He did. Tanner Connor made the roster. I was surprised by that.
Iowa State Community College from North Dakota State, whatever. He's absolutely nobody. If anybody, just introduce him, please.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He was an undrafted free agent by the Dolphins. And you know what? McDaniels always loved him. And McDaniels said when he made the team that nobody has a grasp of this offense more than Tanner Connor. Nobody knows the ins and outs of this offense more than Tanner Connor. That says a lot because this is not an easy offense to master. This is your typical Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan offense. This is a derivative of that, and so you see this offense in work and all the different motions and all the different rushing schemes. To say Tanner Connor's mastered that's some lofty praise to be heaping on a young player like that. So I'm excited to see what he can do. He's on the depth chart. He's the backup tight end right now, behind Durham Smythe actually. So the Dolphins depth chart was released today. The starting fullback is Alec Ingold. The backup fullback is Jonnu Smith. Yes, you heard me right. Jonnu Smith is the backup fullback behind Alec Ingold. And the starting tight end is Durham Smythe. So interesting depth chart. that raised my eyebrows a little bit. But I think that just means that they're going to deploy Jonnu Smith in a number of different areas on this offense. And I think it's one of those things where guys like Tanner Connor, like Durham Smythe, like Jonnu Smith, their position is more nuanced than just he's a tight end. It's more fluid than all of that.
Just so some of you guys out there have a better idea, because I scout, obviously, you guys know me from that. Tanner Connor he was a prospect out of just a random Iowa school. He had to show up, I think, to the same pro day that Trevor Penning was at. That like third tier Iowa school. He was at their pro day. He's from North Dakota or something like that. Anyway, blew the doors off the combine, or not the combine, but the athletic testing. I mean, it's like 230 pounds, 4'4", 140, 39-inch vertical, just absolute freak of nature. He's bulked up to like 239 or something like that. He plays tight end for you, plays fullback, plays wide receiver, plays slot. Like, the dude does everything for you. He's a wide receiver in college. If there is one guy that could turn into be an absolute freak of nature for you, it might be Tanner Connor this year.
Look, he had a couple catches in the preseason that made me think, this guy's got some serious skills. Yeah. And you see that with some wide receivers that convert the tight end. They're basically just faster, more athletic tight ends.
That's exactly what they are. In that offense especially.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be an exciting one for me. Let's go to the chat real quick. Let's see what we have. Doggone it. I'd love to see Anthony get tackled.
Well, that happens with Jets fans. I've wanted to tackle a few Jets fans in my time too.
Remember never to play two-hand touch with you.
Awesome to see Tommy on Nickel City Mafia. Yeah, it really is awesome to have you on the show, Tommy.
Thank you, brother. I
I've been
appreciate y'all.
admiring you from afar for a while.
I appreciate that, man.
Even though you're Bill.
All good, brother.
Let's see. Yep, Tommy, thank you for joining us. That's Brett. Thanks for tuning in, man. All right.
All right, cool. So let's Jets. Do we have any storylines? I don't know. Hassan Reddick. I have never heard of her.
Yeah.
There's a rumor that so we talked about this in between the show, like last show and this one, because there's always something that pops up. Like there was random agent comes out and says the New York Jets are in disarray because if you go into the article, it's because Aaron Rodgers missed 2 practices 4 months ago or something like that. Random agent on the exact same day that Joe Douglas gives a press conference talking about how Hassan Reddick can show up whenever he wants. Like, we're not going to discuss his contract until he comes through the door.
That's a crazy situation, man. I mean, I haven't really followed much of it lately, but he's still not showing up, huh?
I'm going to tell you right now, the dude owes New York just $5 million before he shows up. Like that's $4.7 million.
I mean, he seems. I'll tell you what, man. Like he seems. Something happened. Something happened there behind. Like there's something that rubbed him the wrong way. In order for a player to lose that much money, for not to even to show up a single day. First of all, he came out and did the presser when he first got traded to y'all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Hey, I don't know how long I'm going to be here because I watched because I was a little curious in the beginning, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch presser." So yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna, you all know me. I'm gonna play it and play my ass off. I don't know if I'm gonna be long, but I'm gonna give it. So I'm like, okay. I mean, weird. It seemed like he was dedicated to play for you guys this year. He didn't. He was being brutally honest. Hey, I don't know what my future holds. And then something happened from that point. Like I don't know if your head coach rubbed him the wrong way or the defensive coordinator. Something happened behind closed doors, in my opinion, that he's not. Maybe he's keeping it between him and you guys, but it's just odd to me because he didn't even show up. So it's not like he showed up and something bad happened at camp and he got into it with the coordinator and he's like, you know what, fuck this, I'm out of here. Something happened. There was something, or maybe the owner, something happened for him to be, taking this big of a hit. And if he's already taken that big of a hit, he made it say, fuck it. I'm going to take the hit the whole year and then I'll make my money the following. I mean, he could. It's just odd, man. Because now at this point, if he shows up, he's behind everything.
Yeah.
Playbook, being with teammates, like knowing everybody, getting familiar with everybody's role and all that stuff. Like just in that bond, between him and his teammates, like that shit's out the door. Like he'll have to earn the trust from everybody again. And the first time something goes wrong and now it's a problem, like that's a problem. That is amazing. I don't think you see him. I personally don't think you see him at this point. And if you do, I think it's going to be bad.
Yeah,
because the moment he plays bad or something bad happens too, or he doesn't show up or he has a bad game, Jets fans are going to be, and the media is going to be all over that dude, all over it, man. So if you think he thinks it's bad now, or y'all think it's bad, it's going to get even worse if he doesn't show up. Like meaning if he shows up and doesn't show up. Doesn't put his all effort in or just has bad games, oh man, he's gonna get wrecked. New York media is tough, and the fans are tough. So I don't know, brother. I wish you the best.
Well, he was doing the same thing in Philadelphia though too. He wants to get paid. He wants to get paid like one of the top edge rushers in the NFL, and I think he sees right now the present as has his last opportunity to get a big payday before Father Time gets to him. He's what, 30 years old now?
He's 29, 30, yeah.
29 going on 30. He sees this as one last chance for a big payday. He was doing this in Philadelphia, and he's from the Philadelphia area. Like this is like it should have been his dream to play for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was. Until he said, I want to get paid. And the Eagles were like, well, not right now. We're not doing this. We're not doing a contract right now. We're going to let you play in the last year of your contract. I don't know why the Jets would trade for a guy like Hassan Reddick without having a deal in place with him. That's my one. That's the one thing that just I can't really wrap my head around from the Jets' perspective, and from Hassan Reddick's perspective. Like, why would you accept the trade with the Jets unless you had a deal in place? So I'm just not. It's the whole thing's just weird, Anthony. It's just weird.
It is. No, it is. So it was a couple months ago or something. It came out that so he gets traded to the Jets. This was before the draft. This was right before the draft, I think. And he goes there, and they had already allowed Bryce Huff to walk.
Mm-hmm.
During the draft, I think it was day 2 of the draft, they trade John Franklin Myers for 6th round pick, 7th round pick, something like that. They didn't want to pay John Franklin Myers any more than they already were. He was on a relatively low contract, and they traded him to Denver, and he took half the money he was on for the Jets for the Broncos. And somebody on Twitter, one of the Jets guys, Jets fans, tweeted at him, and he said, "How come you didn't take that deal from the Jets?" He said, "The Jets weren't even offering me that." John Franklin Myers. This is a Joe Douglas fine. Joe Douglas didn't draft him, but he claimed him off of waivers after he was a rookie. So he's basically played all of the best part of his career here with the Jets. So you would almost consider him a homegrown player. So they wouldn't even give John Franklin Myers a pay cut to $6 million, which is what he's making. And they then turn around and they traded for Hassan Reddick. So Hassan Reddick's agent, who, by the way, is the same agent of CeeDee Lamb, noted holdout.
Yeah.
Same agent as CeeDee Lamb, and I think the same agent as Trent Williams, who's also held out for a pretty long time. The agent advised him to hold out because he felt like the New York Jets had absolutely no pass rushers left. Now was his opportunity to make a stand and get that big contract. That's the reason behind the holdout. Now, he's missed all of training camp. That's $4.7 or $5 million, something to that effect. And we were joking a few weeks ago that he's going to be, by week 6 or 7, he's going to be playing for the Jets for free, because that's how many game checks he'll miss, and that's how many fines he'll get for not showing up to practice. So, we've been talking for maybe months now that, what's his end game? I can't figure it out for the life of me, because his agent has committed some of the worst malpractice for an agent I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen players shoot themselves in the foot, but if his agent, who apparently likes to use holdouts as a weapon, advised him to hold out, this is not working, man.
Yeah.
This is not great, because it's not just that he held out, it's that the Jets wound up keeping 11 defensive linemen anyway.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good rotation in the preseason. They looked pretty decent. On top of the fact that it's not like we didn't use 2 first-round picks on defensive ends. We didn't sign Tack McKinley, who was a first-round pick. We didn't sign Javon Kinlaw, who was a first-round pick. This defensive line is not hurting right now. And so if he thought that he was going to leverage whatever position he was in into a much bigger contract, when he was only ever brought in to be a rotational defensive end to fill those snaps that Bryce Huff is missing, he's got problems, man. This is not going to be great. This is not going to, and he can hold out for the entire year, but his contract just holds. The best that he could do is that he holds out till week 7 or 8, comes back, stubs his toe, says he's injured for the year, sits out, and then what? He goes into free agency having missed an entire season at 30 years old. Who's signing that guy to a max deal? Who's signing that guy to $22 million a year? He always had to look good this year for him to have a market next year. Dude, his agent. Can you imagine costing anybody? I would feel bad if on this show I managed to cost Mike $1,000 in fines. His agent cost him $4.7 million already.
Unless he's telling his agent, I'm putting my foot down. I mean, I it's ultimately up to the player, though. I mean, I get the agent's looking out for his best interest, but maybe his agent told him, hey, here's the deal. Like, you're going to lose this money. Like, he has to be honest with him, but doesn't mean he's going to do what he wants. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, like, I mean, look at Jamar Chase. You don't think Jamar Chase may not play? He may not play week 1. It's looking like he's not, and he's going to lose money. So, like, but he's going to. Ultimately, they're going to
my first week in fantasy.
I drafted him today, by the way, just for the hell of it. I also drafted T. Higgins, because I know he's not going to play. So I have him but I believe Jamar Chase will get paid. They're going to have to. They have to me. They have to. So he'll be back at some point, I believe, and he'll be ready. It's not like he just got there. He's not familiar with Burrow, or they're going to have this bad chemistry. Like, he'll be fine. Like, once they pay him, he'll be on it. You know, in your case, I don't think it's totally different. Totally different.
I don't.
He's not. You know, so I just don't think he shows up. I think in your case, I think it's not about money, man. There's something else, bro. It has to be. Because why not play? Why not play and earn your look good, right? And go get paid. I mean, that's it. That's all you had to do.
That I don't think he shows up, but like, if his agent is an agent that likes to push holdouts and he thought he had leverage, man.
Well, no, I mean, the Jets are going to stay. Listen, they're like, hey, we're going to keep finding you, and you're going to. But I mean, I think it's a bad decision, because you were only there a year. All you had to do was just do what you got to do, get paid, and he would have gotten a decent contract somewhere, especially if he played decent. I mean, look at some of the older guys out there that's gotten paid. That did Leonard Floyd. I mean, he signed a 1-year deal, and now he right. We try to sign him kind of cheap. He played 1 year, and now he got paid. Boom, gone. And that's how the name of the game, especially with older guys that are aging up there. But if they could prove they still have it, boom, they're going to get paid. They're going to get a deal somewhere for 3 years or something like that. So I think he made the mistake, but that's why I feel like he has to know that if he would have played, he would have got a contract somewhere else. But that's why I feel like it has to be not about money. It has to be about something happened between him and the owner or coach, something, or the coordinator, that he's just like, yo, I'd rather just take the huge hit and I'll just figure it out. Like, that's my opinion, because it's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, man. He was only scheduled to make like 16 or 17 for the year. Like, he's already down 5.
Yeah. So at this point, he's probably like screwed.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on from Hassan Reddick and whatever is going on in his mind.
Just really quick, Anthony, thanks for tuning in, man. Anthony is on my channel, the Fins Forecast. We go live every Wednesday at 7:00. We're going live tomorrow at 7:00. We're going to preview the Dolphins and Jaguars. So, Anthony, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, let's go Fins.
Mike's comment up here: Bills fan CA truly believes the Bills will be in first place
after week 1.
Week 1. So
I think we'll be in first place regardless. I mean, that's just me. I'm not trying to be like cocky or anything, which I'll explain to you guys after why. I'm sure we'll get to it, but like, yeah, I'll explain later. But yeah, I'll explain later.
Okay. With that, I actually want to get into the predictions real quick. How we feel about our matchups this week. Keith, let's start with you, man.
Dolphins Jaguars. I think the Dolphins are going to win the game. I do. I think the Dolphins are going to beat the Jaguars. It's a tough matchup. I agree with Mike on that one. It's not an ideal matchup. The Dolphins had a tough matchup, what looked like a tough matchup on paper week 1 last year against the Chargers, and their offense came out and had a great game. Their defense, it was an uneven effort, and that's kind of what I'm expecting in this one. I think the defense still needs to gel. I think the defense needs to learn the nuances of Anthony Weaver's system. So I expect a moderately high-scoring game. I expect like a 34-31 game, a 31-28 type of game. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Dolphins are going to pull out a victory because I think they have more talent on the offensive side of the ball. The one guy on the Jaguars that scares me is Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne is your kind of Swiss Army knife, do it all type of running back, and the Dolphins normally don't fare too well against guys like that.
You say the one guy that scares you, though. I mean, the other guy that scares you should be Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh. Well, Josh.
That guy should scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
14 and a half sacks last year,
Yeah.
plus Trayvon Walker, another 10.
Yeah.
That should keep you up at night. That should be
well, they certainly get after the quarterback. I'll give them that, but they also gave up a lot of passing yards and a lot of passing touchdowns last year. Teams threw the ball all over the yard against the Jaguars last year, and I expect to do exactly that. I think he's going to have 300 yards in this game. I think he's going to have 3 touchdowns. I think this is going to be an offensive game from start to finish. But I think the Dolphins are going to come out on top. And I understand where Mike's coming from. It's a tough matchup, and the Dolphins may very well lose this game. But this is one of those games the Dolphins need because their schedule, they have Jaguars week 1, Bills week 2, and then their schedule gets kind of easy, and then their schedule gets really freaking hard. And so they kind of need games like this Jaguars game, games that can go either way. They need to win this one. They need to win games like this in order to be competing for a postseason spot come the end of the season.
Buffalo week 2 is at Buffalo too, right?
Yes, it is. No, it's in Miami, I believe. It's in Miami.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Miami. And that's a Thursday night game. So, the heat's not going to be as much of a factor. The sun beating down on Buffalo isn't going to be as much of a factor.
True.
And
Night game, yeah.
Well, you know what? And Tommy, I know you'd agree with me on this. That's how I want it as a Dolphins fan. I don't want, if the Dolphins beat the Bills, I want them to say, we beat the Bills, no asterisk, no caveat to that. We beat the Bills. Yeah, it was in Miami, but the sun wasn't beating down on them all day, and Josh Allen isn't like collapsing because he's so exhausted. I wanted a legit victory. I want a legit victory against the Buffalo Bills.
They got you guys coming to us in November, so it's kind of the NFL. I guess they kind of like made it because normally we play it like late December where it's a little rough. So November, even for you guys coming to Buffalo is not going to
shouldn't be that bad.
Crazy weather game either. You know what I mean? Unless something crazy event happens in Buffalo, which could happen, but I thought I was cool with it when I saw it as well.
That's going to be a fun matchup, and I'm sure me and all the Bills fans on Nickel City Mafia are going to be mixing it up all week. But for right now, Dolphins Jaguars is what I'm focused on. Dolphins Jaguars is what the Dolphins should be focused on, and I think the Dolphins pull out a close, high-scoring victory.
You mentioned everybody throws all over the yard on Jacksonville, but you're not at all concerned about Jacksonville throwing all over the yard on you.
I'm more concerned about Travis Etienne. The Jacksonville Jaguars receivers don't scare me. Brian Thomas Jr. is still a rookie, and Gabe Davis is Gabe Davis. Jaguars, Christian Kirk. I think the Dolphins can neutralize. I am more concerned about Travis Etienne.
I get you're more concerned with that, but you are sort of minimizing the fact that they have some dudes that can catch the ball and run with it too.
They do. And like I said, I expect this to be a high scoring game. I don't expect to hold Trevor Lawrence down the entire game. Mm-hmm. But I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I think, Lawrence is going to have his way against the Dolphins defense. The Dolphins defense there's a lot of new guys on there. It's a new system. I don't expect their defense to be up to full speed yet. There's obviously some concern there with the Jaguars wide receivers, but who I'm really concerned about neutralizing is Travis Etienne. Because guys like that have been the Dolphins' kryptonite, especially last season. It was ridiculous how good running backs who could catch the ball out of the backfield and be that Swiss Army knife type of player hurt the Dolphins last year.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just making the alternative point that Jacksonville team can be pretty scary. They did make the playoffs last year, I think, and
they did not. They had one of those. No, they didn't.
They had a meltdown at the end.
Yeah, they had a meltdown, and that meltdown, people don't talk about it as much because the Eagles melted down much harder. But, the Jaguars did melt down in their own right. They had a pretty sizable lead on that division, and then they kind of just blew it, and the Texans backdoored their way into the playoffs.
The front door with CJ Stroud. That dude's no joke.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I'm not completely disregarding Miami's chance. I do think Miami's going to win that game, but I do think that high-scoring games can go either way. They do have some pass.
Where's it at? Jacksonville? You guys open up on the road?
Miami.
It's in Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess on that game, I would pick you guys if I was a betting man. I just think you guys are just you have more talent on your roster from that point. But they are a sneaky team. I mean, I got to be like, they've beaten us a few times where I'm like, they have our numbers. So for some reason, they play their best football when they play us, but they're not bad. Like they have weapons. Like Etienne, Gabe. Say what you want about Gabe Davis, but he has games where when he shows up, right? Like big games, right? And that's what makes him weird, like as a player, because he'll go silent 2-3 weeks and then boom, 200 yards, right? An unbelievable game. And that's why his numbers are so funky. But they do have weapons. Kirk and Etienne and Lawrence isn't a bad quarterback at all. They got a good head coach. So, I mean, but I still, with all that being said, in Miami, right? Miami has that speed. Yes, they have Josh Allen on defense. Yes, they have a decent defense, but I still think Miami's just too much speed, a little bit too much for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I definitely could see it high scoring because I think I'm not sold on your defense, the Dolphins defense. I think it's okay. That's why I kind of think like this will be high scoring, but I still think the Dolphins win by like 10, something like that, 10, 13 points. Like
that's fair.
So it's kind of a blowout, but not really. Like they're hanging around a little bit, and the Dolphins kind of take that lead in third quarter somewhere for early fourth, and they just hold on to it. That's where I see that game going. But
I'm with you, Tommy. And I'm not sold on the Dolphins defense either. Like, especially not this early in the season. Like the Dolphins defense played better and better as the year went on last year. People don't seem to realize that, but they did. And then Andrew,
you lost a good coordinator.
Well, yeah.
I mean, y'all shit on him, but he's I guess one of the best in the league.
Hey, look, I know that Vic Fangio is a good coordinator. I just don't think he was the right coordinator for what the Dolphins wanted to do last year. I don't think he's the right coordinator for a guy like Jalen Ramsey, who likes to shadow the other team's number one wide receiver. Whereas Jalen Ramsey was asked to just kind of play zone, play the Richard Sherman role in the Seattle's defense. That's not what Jalen Ramsey does best. And I think that with Vic Fangio, good coordinator, and I'm not knocking him. It's not one of those things where like he leaves as soon as the door closes behind him, I'm just like, oh, he was the worst. Oh my God, I hated Vic Fangio. No, I like Vic Fangio. I also don't think Vic Fangio wanted to be in Miami last year.
Yeah, I believe that too.
I think Vic Fangio wanted to be with the Eagles. Along.
I'm with that. I
agree
with you there.
All that being said, okay, fine, see you. And honestly, don't let the door hit you on the ass. Like, just go, and we'll get somebody in here who's going to try and model this defense to play to his players' strengths, and we'll get a defensive coordinator in here who actually wants to be here, which is the biggest thing for me. So yeah, I think, but I do think you're about right with your assessment of the game there, Tommy. I think the Dolphins will pull this one out, and I think it's going to be late where the Dolphins finally put this one away. I think midway through the fourth quarter is when they finally put this one away. I'm going to be sweating the entire time.
Yeah, unless something crazy happens. Something crazy for me, something would have to happen on the offensive side of the ball for you guys to lose games.
It seems
like an injury or two going down.
Like neither team's going to be out of it, even if it's a 2-score game at some point. It's both teams are going to be able to fire bullets. So it's going to be a fun game for sure. If you're not already in the 1:00 matchup, it's going to be a lot of fun. Tommy, tell me about the Bills matchup against the Cardinals.
Yeah, man. It's a sneaky game for the Cardinals. They could come out. We're a weird team opening day. Like We lost to Pittsburgh in 2021 where, coming off that 2020 season, we were hyped up, got to the, won the E. Like everything was great. And then lose to the Steelers at home, who weren't a good team. We lost to the Jets last year where we should have won, when they lost Rodgers, the right, the air went out of that, right,
Yep.
out of the stadium, right, and we still wind up making so many mistakes and lose that game. So it's one of those games where it's like we need to stay focused, man. Yes, we should beat the Cardinals. They got a new head coach, coming into that team. Kyler Murray, say what you want about him, but he still can be dangerous at times. They got Connor, Marvin Harrison Jr., right, who I think is going to be probably the best wide receiver out of the draft, right? I believe that. And they got some playmakers. They do. They got some playmakers. But, being at home, with a new coordinator, I think ultimately we get the job done. I don't know if we blow the team out, though. I got to be honest. I don't know if we blow them out because I just think it's going to take a couple weeks. I think maybe even 3 weeks for us to really, for Josh and this offense, because it's a new coordinator, right? And the new a lot of new faces. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get that rhythm going down on offense, right? Finding their way. So I don't know if we just come out just dominating on offense. I think you're going to see our offense start to bloom a little bit later, as the season goes on, how I see it. I could be wrong. Our defense, on the other hand, that's the real question mark. Like I was saying earlier in the podcast, with the safety position, Matt Milano being out. Now you got Dorian Williams starting. Dorian Williams is second year. He's a little raw. He's not the best pass, defender. He's more run defender. That's how Kansas City beat us in the playoffs, right? We had Klein, who wasn't the best pass defender, so they were just using and abusing us, right? With Kelsey, that's how they beat us. They knew we had no Bernard. They attacked us where our weaknesses, and hopefully Dorian Williams can, he won't fill the shoes of Matt Milano, but hopefully he can, at least play somewhat close to
Tommy,
him.
You guys are used to life without Matt Milano at this point.
Oh, we're used to life without a lot of guys. But I get that's where I was going with it. I will say this. One thing I will say about Sean McDermott, I'm not the biggest Sean McDermott fan. I think he's a hell of a coach. If you're a new team building from the, fresh from the, from the bottom, he's a guy that will get the right guys in there, get you to the playoffs. I like that, but it's my problem with him is the playoffs. So I will say this about him. The guy can can build, when things are going bad, right? Things aren't going so good. Players are getting hurt or outside shit going on, which we had a lot of recently. He's good at getting the troops together and finding a way to win, right? Or finding a way to just get through it. He's a good defensive coach. He knows how to get certain players to play probably better than what they, what we've seen initially. So I'll give him that. But you got to be concerned still as a Bills fan because you don't know really yet what you got in Dorian Williams. I was concerned last year with Bernard. I'm not going to lie. And Bernard surprised, I think, a lot of people. And nobody's going to sit here and say otherwise. I don't think anyone saw Bernard being as good as he was. Bernard really shined because the year before, when he came in here and there, he didn't look too impressive. So I was surprised how well he played. So who knows? I'll trust McDermott. The corners, Rasul Douglas, I believe he's a good number one, but he's on his way out, I think Benford is going to take that role from him soon. He's going to be the number one, if not now. Kyer Elam has played a little better this offseason. He actually had a good offseason. We'll see how he works out because he was one of those rookies where it was dicey. He wasn't working out, but he had a good camp, had a good preseason. We'll see. Von Miller coming back. Von Miller looked really good in practice. He's bending right. Last year, you kind of saw it towards the end of the season where the knee brace came off. You could kind of see him being the Von when we first got him. He won't ever be the Von of Denver. Okay, that's not going to happen. But the Von when we signed him as a free agent, if we can get that Von back, 8 sacks, somewhere around there, 7, 8 sacks, I'm good with it. Gregory Rousseau, he needs to take the next step and a big step to prove himself. So we got some players still. Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones. Like, there's certain guys I really, really like on the defense. It's just that I would say the safety position and the linebacker position is really the biggest concerns I have for this team. I think offensively, listen, man, everyone's making a big, like, oh, Stephon Diggs gone, no number one. Listen, man, look what happened last year. Stephon Diggs was really a no-show for the second half of the season, and we did just fine. Matter of fact, we played better, right? Look at the playoffs. Stephon Diggs was a no-show. Who showed up? Khalil Shakir, who was very underrated. Khalil Shakir is going to take a big step forward. Dalton Kincaid is going to take a big step forward. We'll see what happens with Keon Coleman. I like him a lot, but he's young, so I'm not. We'll find out. And I think Curtis Samuel's very underrated as well. I think he's had some bad luck with shitty quarterbacks. Now he has a good one. James Cook, I'm not totally sold on him. I think he's a good running back. I don't think he's dynamic, but I think he's good enough to get a little bit over 1,000 all-purpose yards. He's going to definitely get that. He's going to match what he did last year. And I like Ray Davis. So there's my nutshell of thing. I think we win this game by like 10 points.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. The argument, I guess, for Arizona is, for one, you mentioned it up front. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver in this class, probably the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in a very long time.
Since Calvin Johnson, I'd say, Anthony.
Yeah. Probably somewhere around there. It's Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones-ish. Like, we're looking at, like, generational wide receiver prospects, and that's really kind of where he is. And then after that, we mentioned it, Kyler Murray he can make stuff happen. He can nullify pass rushes. He can play. He is probably the most Josh Allen-ish short quarterback you'll ever see in his ability just to extend a play a lot longer than it deserves to be and take off and scramble and make stuff happen. Fantastic live arm, good quarterback. And another thing that you mentioned straight off the bat, you guys are not good against tight ends. When Matt Milano is not in there, you guys struggle against tight ends. And their number one weapon last year down the end of the season was Trey McBride, who is basically everybody's sleeper tight end this year in fantasy. I don't know if you play fantasy. I do. Trey McBride, phenomenal prospect coming out a couple of years ago, put up, like, in his last year at Colorado State, it was like 1,300 yards. This dude could be a target machine if you give him the opportunity. And last year they had nobody else to throw it to. So Kyler Murray just absolutely stacked the stat box, just targeting the crap out of him now with Trey McBride there. You've still got a Greg Dortch who's not super impressive, but, like, at least he's a slot receiver. Against a Bills defense that you mentioned is suspect. Let's be clear about that. You guys are suspect, especially over the middle. So if the offense doesn't click as well as you think it does, and you guys don't put up a crap load of points, I think this is going to be a 3-point game. I think it's going to be a 1-score game at the most. I just think, I mean, they got a new head coach too, by the way. Their head coach
over there, defensive coordinator. So he's not like, he's not what, listen, their old head coach, even though he didn't work out, I felt like offensively he made it happen. Like, they were exciting, like, because he was an offensive minded head coach. So that's curious how he works with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray also too, he has bad games, bro. Like, I get he's Josh Allen, I guess, for a short guy, like the way he plays, but he also makes I think he's okay. I just don't think he puts all the effort into being a good quarterback. He could probably be a lot better, but he's never really taken that, like, leap that he's never really tried to master his craft because he's too busy doing whatever the hell. That's the whole story on him.
That's the
story. But I get what you're saying.
Hold on. The story on him is the Xbox thing, and that all came out. But, like, his stats really went down when Hopkins when Hopkins left the team, when Hopkins was hurt, that team got a lot worse. When he didn't have anybody, the team got a whole lot worse. That offensive line was atrocious. He got a whole lot worse.
I don't think he's I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think he puts. I think he could be better. Like, that's my point. Like, and that's giving him credit in a way. Like, we'll see what he does with the new head coach. So, because that guy kind of gave him a lot of leash,
again, it's
right?
not a new head coach. This is their second year with his head coach.
either way, he's still a newer head coach for them, right? Like a defensive head coach. So, but I will say this though, on our defense, say what you want about them, but no matter what's happened, and we've lost a shit ton of players over the last 3 seasons, we're still a top 5 defense. So Trey White being out, you would think, right? Our number 1, we still were good. Von Miller going out, we're still good. We've lost all these guys. Matt Milano out last season, out, right? Jordan Porter and Micah Hyde both have been barely playing, right? Like 3 games out. Micah Hyde missed most of the season, and we still. So that's my point about Sean McDermott. He somehow finds a way to still get this defense playing at a high level. Now, yes, you are right about getting abused, but at that point in the playoffs, we didn't even have Bernard. We had a guy who was fishing, and AJ Klein, literally out fishing, who just retired. Come on, you know what I mean? Like they were smart to abuse the sack game because we had Klein and we had I don't even remember I think maybe it was Dorian Williams playing at the time, but it was bad. Like, of course they're going to take advantage of that. But if you go back when Matt Milano went out and we had just Bernard in, we did just fine. Now, of course, the Matt Milano is still Matt Milano, right? Like, you're still missing that, but we still wind up being one of the better defenses in the league. So not overly concerned. I would say the safety is really where, if you're going to be concerned about, is that, because that is a whole totally new group. We don't know yet. Right? I mean, totally new. Like, if Bernard's still in there, I'm still comfortable at the linebackers. I still think we'll figure a way with Dorian Williams in there, playing in Matt Milano's role. So that's where I see it. I don't see the defense totally taking a shit, because we still got good corners, we still got good defensive line, we still got good edge rushers. If Von Miller can be that Von Miller we're hoping, and Gregory Rousseau can take that step, that puts less pressure on the linebackers, right? Now the quarterback has to get rid of the ball quicker. That helps the safeties out. Like, that all getting pressure to the quarterback is everything. So yeah, it starts up front for sure, and that will take the pressure off. So I don't see the Cardinals working us because we're missing one player.
I'll say this, guys. Going into the season, the Cardinals to me were a sleeper team. I saw them as a team that could make noise. Maybe not, compete for a Super Bowl or anything, but I saw the Cardinals as a team that's going to surprise some people, because everybody's just kind of writing them off. That the NFC West is kind of stacked with the 49ers and the Rams and even the Seahawks. So everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion that the Cardinals are going to finish in last in that division. They're forgetting that the Cardinals were a much better team once Kyler Murray came back last year.
Oh, 100%. No doubt about it. Yeah.
That being said, I'm still taking the Bills in this game.
I don't disagree with you.
I do think the Bills win this by 7-10. I think the Cardinals are going to be better this year. I think the Cardinals are going to take some teams by surprise, but I think not yet. Not yet. I don't think they're ready to hang with the big boys just yet. And I think the Bills are going to not work them, but I think the Bills are going to win this game by a fairly comfortable margin.
I think they could win. I think that the game's a lot closer. I think the two teams are a lot closer than they're being.
I will say this though, to end this talk on the Bills Cardinals, because I know you want to move on. I got to move on. If we lose this game, I will say this. It will be rough because the Bills are we have the next 5 games, 4 of 5 on the road. Yep. And they're not 4 of 5 easy opponents. We got at Miami, home against Jacksonville, which plays us tough, at Baltimore, at Houston, at the Jets, home against Tennessee. I mean, that's brutal, right? If we start off 0-1 and then we're going on this big 4 or 5 on the road against tough opponents, that's not good. You want to win, you want to get that win at home to start the season, so you get that confidence up too, and then then here we go.
You want to get the easy ones, and this looks like
and that's what we didn't do last year. That's the one that was I felt like that was the Bills' early failure. We didn't get I don't know what it was. Denver, we lost against Denver, the Jacksonville, and London, and almost losing to the Giants. Like, we lost to some opponents we shouldn't. The Jets without Aaron Rodgers, like, things like that will set your team back, But as you see from the Bills, I will say this: the NFL is a long season, bro. Like, I feel like a lot of fans get like way worked up early on about their team's success or failures, and then, bro, it's a marathon, right? Like, and I will say this about my team: they've always, over the last 5 seasons, they know how to finish a season out strong. Like, they count that people are counting them out, and they somehow pull. I don't know how, but they do. They pull it together. And I will say this, and I'm not shitting on the Dolphins or the Jets, but you guys do the opposite. I feel like you're ahead, you're doing good, you're feeling great, and then boom, the tail end of the season, it's a dip, right? And things are
certainly
falling.
Can't refute that one from my perspective, Tom.
right. So
we haven't been high enough to take a dump yet. So
yeah. So I guess to finish me out, because I gotta go, guys. But I'm sorry that I have to leave because I got work. But I will. No problem. I will say this though, and I'm not trying to be. Look, I feel like the Bills are going to win the division. Somebody said earlier, I do, and the reason why I say that, I'm not trying to be cocky, is look, we've won the last 4 in a row, right? I get it's a new season, but the reality is, the Dolphins and the Jets and the Patriots, and I guess I shouldn't even say the Patriots because they're total rebuild mode. But the Dolphins and Jets are, honestly, they're chasing the Bills. That's what they're doing. You guys are wanting that division, and that's what we were doing. That's what you guys were doing forever for the Patriots, right? You got to earn that. You got to, and I feel like we're chasing the Chiefs. Like, that's what we've been doing. We just can't figure it out. And I feel like until you guys prove it, right? I get on paper, you guys look smooth, man, fast, but you did last year. And so did the Jets going in. They were excited. Aaron Rodgers. And I get he got hurt. I get that. But it's like, dude, once again, I said it earlier, it's a long season. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know injuries. You don't know how your team's going to fold under pressure certain games. And the Bills have proven, even with injuries and all that crap coming out and all the weird offseason shit that we've gone through, we still wind up finding a way. So that's the reason why I'm not counting my team out to winning it again, at least the East. Now, as far as playoffs go, I'm not overconfident. Like, I haven't seen anything yet that says Sean McDermott can take this team to Super Bowl. I'm an honest fan. But as far as the East goes, I feel like we still run the East until a team can prove it and knock us off. That's just the reality of it. And I don't talk shit. And I hate when fans do that. Like, at least back it up. And I try to explain why I feel like we still run the East until otherwise. Like, and that's my reasoning. That's my reasoning behind it. And that's it. That's why I think we're gonna run the East again. So guys, thank you, man. This was fun. You guys are cool, man. I enjoyed it on here. You guys are
surprised.
Yeah, no problem. And I appreciate you guys, Nickel City Mafia, Mike, man. Thank you for helping, getting me on here with you guys. And we'll mix it up again, man. So everybody out there, appreciate you guys. Have a good one and go Bills, man.
All right, Keith.
All right. And then there was 2.
There were 2.
Anthony, why don't you talk to me about the Jets matchup? Because this is a big one against the 49ers.
Monday night matchup, baby. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be big, or it's going to be terrible. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could end pretty fast, as we saw last year.
Yeah. You know what? Let's go to the comments before we. So Anthony points out that Tyreek and Waddle are elite. And solid cornerbacks aren't going to get the job done against them. I agree with that, Anthony, and that's ultimately why I see the Dolphins outscoring the Jaguars. Don't mean to sound arrogant, but our offense doesn't. Well, I don't know that I agree with you there. I think we get plenty of respect.
Who takes the crap on the Dolphins' offense?
Yeah.
Whoever's like, oh, they can't score a field goal. Who does that? Find me that guy on the internet. Just clip him. They're most definitely elite. Rasul Douglas playing on a bum leg. I didn't know that, actually. Me neither.
Let's see. Yeah. As Mike pointed out, our offense gets a lot of respect. Yeah, I do think our offense gets its respect, especially nationally. 2 led league in passing yards last year. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I think our offense gets enough respect. I just think our offense actually almost gets like too much respect because like they kind of petered out towards the end of last season. So I'd like to see them just remain a little more consistent. Roy Collins, James Cook get 100 yards on Sunday. He certainly could. The Cardinals don't have the best run defense.
True.
Yeah. Bills won 5-0 last season. Had to thank Tennessee for beating Miami. Yeah, that was the division loser for the Dolphins right there, losing to that Tennessee game. Kevin, we corrected it. Thank you, Roy. It's Keith. All right, Anthony, go ahead and get into your matchup though.
All right. These two teams are extremely similarly built.
Yeah.
It's just there's no other way, no two ways about it. They have Christian McCaffrey, we have Breece Hall. They've got Brandon Ayuk, we've got Garrett Wilson. They've got Deebo Samuel, we don't
Mike
really have an answer for that one. They've got George Kittle, we don't have an answer for that one either. So these two teams are very similarly built. I think that the Niners have more high-end talent. With respect to like they've got Bosa and Trent Williams and we've got Jermaine Johnson. I mean Tyron Smith is no joke.
No.
So like he would be our answer to that. On paper, these two teams.
Tyron Smith is healthy. He's still a top 5 tackle in the NFL right now.
He is, and Trent Williams is a top 1 tackle.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't take too
He's
much
one of them. And he's probably going to play this week. He actually said that Ricky Pearsall, the whole thing with Ricky Pearsall kind of inspired him to revisit things with the 49ers and show up this week.
Really?
Yeah. That's what he was saying. And by the way, we do wish Ricky Pearsall all the best in his recovery and all of that. Really tragic thing that happened to him. And just shocking.
When they said where that was, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I don't know if you've been to San Francisco before. Like, I've been going to San Francisco. My first time I went to San Francisco, I was 5 years old. I flew on a plane by myself from Staten Island, from New York. Obviously, it was like Newark, so it wasn't Staten Island. But from Newark to San Francisco, I terrorized every flight attendant on that plane. Imagine a little 5-year-old me with ADHD going back and forth, up and down. They finally put me in first class just because they just wanted to put me in a place where they could keep their eyes on me. I flew all the way to San Francisco by myself, first time, 5 years old. I've been to San Francisco a bunch of times. I have family in Northern California. I know San Francisco fairly well in terms of a city, and I was shocked when I found it was in like Ghirardelli Square. Like it was in Markets. It was right in like the nicest part of downtown San Francisco. This is not like a seedy area. You're not buying drugs on the corner there. Like this is like where the tourists go to take selfies.
Yep.
And he was stood up by a 17-year-old and shot. Like that's scary.
Ridiculous.
That's scary to me.
It is. And I don't know if that's a commentary. We're not here to talk about
being political at all.
San Francisco's turned into.
Yeah.
But it is scary, and I'm just happy he's all right. I'm happy that this isn't like a, let's have a moment of silence before the game for Ricky Pearsall type of moment.
Yeah. What an off season that caps off.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
Like football players need to learn to just stay at home and play Xbox. Sorry. It's a bad world out there, man. You don't want a part of it. Go to Asakusa with Hassan Reddick. Take pictures in kimonos. Do that. Safer out there. All right. So let me go back to this. Sorry, we got sidetracked. This is what we do on the AFC Summit show. Should be called the AFC East Rabbit Hole. Anyway, two teams very, very closely matched. I think our defense, with Sauce Gardner, I think with the depth that we have on defensive line, will make some kind of an impact. I think we have similarly rated linebackers. Obviously, they have Fred Warner. We have Quincy Williams and CJ Mosley. I hope that the difference in this game is Aaron Rodgers versus Brock Purdy. If the difference is Aaron Rodgers versus Brock Purdy, I think we win this game. But keep in mind, it's an away game on Monday night. That is a really difficult scenario to start off your season.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tough place. Now, mitigated somewhat, I guess, by the fact that Aaron Rodgers grew up in that neighborhood. Like, he's out from Northern California. Like, this is his territory. He trains in Northern California. Like, but it's still, like, for a team-wise, going east to west on your first game, Monday night, bright lights. It's tough to predict the Jets are definitely going to win. I would like to have a matchup against the Cardinals.
Honestly, Anthony, if you came on this show right now and said the Jets are definitely beating the 49ers on Monday, I'd have to call you out on something like that, because this is a game, in my eyes, that can go either way. It's a game that's going to, a play or two here or there is going to decide it. A long Breece Hall run where he breaks a tackle, or a long Deebo Samuel catch and run, something to that effect. This is going to be a great test for the Jets starting out the season. And the 49ers have been tested plenty. They went to the Super Bowl last year. They are a battle tested team. Whereas the Jets, Aaron Rodgers is battle tested, but everybody else in that team, there's a lot of guys on that team, Tyron Smith, guys like that notwithstanding, this is a team that's not really used to being in the position that they're in right now, where they're kind of the favorites to win the AFC East right now.
They were the favorites 1 year ago right now.
Yes, and that ended 4 plays into your season.
Exactly that.
So you're kind of back to where you started last season, where there's a lot of hopes, there's a lot of dreams, there's a lot of optimism in that building, but you still have to go out and do it against the representative from the NFC in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun game. It's a game. It's probably the game, other than the Dolphins game, obviously. It's probably the game I'm looking most forward to watching in week 1. And that's saying a lot, because you have the Chiefs and Ravens, you have the Eagles and Packers. But this 49ers-Jets game, it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a telling game. I want to see where the Jets stack up against this 49ers team.
For sure.
I
wish that I had a better answer for you, then I don't know how this game is going to go.
Yeah.
My hope is obviously that the Jets, that this matchup comes down to Aaron Rodgers versus Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy is a limited quarterback and we can stretch him beyond where he needs to be, if we can force him to get rid of the ball a little bit too quickly, if we can bring him down when he's trying to not throw it deep, if we can contain George Kittle, which obviously there's very little evidence that anybody can do, short of the injury bug, I think this matchup's going to be tough, because that offense is functionally like, can Brock Purdy utilize his weapons?
Yeah.
If Brock Purdy cannot utilize that weapons, the offense goes nowhere. Yeah. But he's got it's a bowling ball full of butcher knives. Everywhere you look's a weapon on offense.
I know.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
It is. It's just ridiculous, the amount of weapons and the caliber of weapons they have on that offense. Yeah. And Brandon Ayuk didn't look like he was coming back for a while this offseason. He re-signed. He's coming back. Deebo just got I think he restructured his contract just recently. Trent Williams is back. It's just,
I saw a lot of on Twitter if they don't have Trent Williams, guys, this was always going to get done. Ayuk was always going to get done, guys. Trent Williams was always going to get done. He's a veteran. He wanted to sit out preseason. Fine. The deal was always going to get that. We were never going to play the San Francisco 49ers without their best players.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is going to get done.
It'll get done. I don't know that it'll get done before week 1, but I still think Chase is going to play.
I think Chase is going to play too, yeah.
but I think they have to get Jamar Chase done. They have to get that contract done regardless.
But yeah, this is going to be an extremely close matchup, and that's why it's the Week 1 Monday Night Football game.
Yeah,
because you don't know who's going to win going in. You have two teams that are both predicted to possibly make it late into the playoffs, possibly both get to the Super Bowl again. Like these have, Kyle Shanahan's a phenomenal head coach. Robert Saleh's a head coach in the NFL.
he's a really good defensive coach. Let's give him his just desserts. He's a really good defensive coach, Anthony.
He's a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know which way it's going to go. It's going to be a fun matchup. I hope that Aaron Rodgers is the difference. If he's not the difference, we lose the game by 3 points, 6 points. It's not going to be a blowout either way. Nobody can score a crap load of points on a Robert Saleh defense like this.
No.
Don't get pounded like that unless Zach Wilson is throwing interceptions for fun. So
we should. This is still the AFC East Summit, so we should talk about the Patriots, right?
Here, do we have to?
We do. It's the AFC East Summit. We thought Chris was going to join us tonight, but I guess he was indisposed. So we should talk about the Patriots because this is still the AFC East Summit, even if we didn't have a Patriots rep this evening. I'm just going to start off, and I'm going to say I'm in a survivor pool, and my pick is the Bengals this week. I think I don't see any. I think the Bengals are going to beat the Patriots pretty handily.
I would like the Bills guys in the chat to realize he picked the Patriots and not the Cardinals. This game is not the walkover you think it is. Back to you.
No, and I actually don't think Bills fans think this is the Cardinals Bills game is a walkover, but I do think this Bengals Patriots game is a walkover. I think the Bengals getting Joe Burrow back. Jamar Chase will probably play. T. Higgins is going to play. I don't see any way the Patriots even keep this one close. I think this is going to be like a 14, 17-point victory for the Bengals.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be that big of a beating. I know that it's going to be a beating. I think that the Bengals are going to be sitting their starters by the third quarter, though.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to try to score that many points. I think the thing is Jacoby Brissett didn't look great in the preseason. That offensive line is atrocious. I think they're gonna treat this like a preseason game.
Yeah, I would imagine they are. And for all intents, it's not a preseason game, but for all intents and purposes, this is kind of week 4 of the preseason for the Bengals because they're just getting a guy like Jamar Chase back, and Joe Burrow swings around in the form, and this is not a good Patriots football team. This is a team where you can kind of take advantage of, especially their offensive line woes, and just make their life on offense a living hell.
Yeah.
And the Bengals don't have that great of a defense, but I just don't see them giving up that many points against this Patriots offense.
I completely agree. And you know what the funny thing? The line is only New England +8.
Yeah.
Like, how is that a line? That's wild to me.
Yeah,
it's a home game for the Bengals.
I'm not much of a sports betting person, other than like fantasy football and things of that nature. But if I was, I would be all over that line. I would take the Bengals -8 and be thrilled about having a line that low.
Yeah, it's got me thinking about that now too. And I'm not much of a better. I will bet $2 here and there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, this isn't gonna be a fun one for New England. I don't even know any New England fans that think it's gonna be a fun one. So
no.
Fantasy advice: if you have nobody else, start Tyquan Thornton. They're gonna be behind early and often.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know. It's gonna be ugly. With that, I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah, we are. Guys, if you like what you saw tonight, please drop a nickel on the subscribe button, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll be back next week. We will go over what happened in week 1 between all of our teams' matchups, and we will preview week 2.
Yeah.
Football's back. Football is back, and we couldn't be more excited for it.
100%.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Final
right.
thought, Keith.
What's that?
Final thought, Keith.
Final thought. Football's back, thank God. I'm watching the Phillies on my other TV right now. They're down 6-4. I was talking to my dad tonight, and like he's the biggest baseball fan in the world. He likes baseball more than he likes football. And so I said, what are you going to be doing for the games on Sunday? You going to be watching them? He's like, no, I'm going to be watching the Phillies. He says, what about you? I said, I'm going to be watching football. I don't even know what time. I don't even know who the Phillies play on Sunday. It doesn't matter at this point. It's football season.
Yeah. That's baseball is just a thing to keep you warm while football's
Exactly.
away.
Exactly.
All right. Well, with that, customary take flight.
All right. Have a good night, guys.